Good morning and welcome to Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens, where we explore the behaviors that really dictate and determine how you are viewed in the marketplace and within the walls among those people that you have called on and pulled into and invited to help you fulfill your vision and your purpose. I'm known in my business as the business ambassador. My business is destinyspeak.com. I am the author of Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens. There we go. Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens. And the companion workbook, it's called Company Culture. Um, con- it's called Conquering Corporate Enemies, Mind, Personalities, and Situations. Today, we're here to talk about high performers, yet we still need to be healed from the trauma. And this is May, the month of mental health awareness, and trauma exists definitely in the workplace. And it's my passion to bring greater awareness to leaders how to be how to better support those around them, better support those in their influence, better support the organization by building and lifting up and inspiring those and motivating those around them so that we can um, all achieve greater results. We all have objectives, we all have key results that we're trying to achieve. Yet, in doing so, many times organizations have actually caused harm and hurt and yes, trauma to those who are doing it. And you might say, Yvette, what does that look like? How do you know trauma? That's a strong word. How is trauma being caused in the workplace and by our leaders? Are leaders aware that they're doing it? Absolutely, sometimes they are, and most definitely, many times they do not. So, this is not a a time where I'm sharing, where I'm trying to tear down people or tear down organizations. I am shining a light so that you can respond to the places where you in your organization may need some additional support. And I help clients, organizations, and individuals alike to have healthy cultures within themselves, to demand that they get in a place where they can thrive individually, and for organizations to create a place where people can really be their best authentic self. Authentic meaning that there's greatness on the inside of me, and I'm ready to tap into that on your behalf as the organization. So welcome to this morning. If you're joining me, I'm so very glad that you chose to be a part of this conversation because during this month called and I'm putting up my contact information so that if you are interested in contacting me and wanting to get to work together closely with me, you know how to reach me. So I wanted to get that up there. But if you are in a place where you're ready to go beyond, you want to be stretched because there's something on the inside of you that you know there's much more that needs to get out. There's much more that you and your organization can do to really share with your industry or your communities, and you want to do that, but you cannot do it being blind to the hurt and the harm that individuals are experiencing in your organization because of poor practices. And I'm here to help you understand that. So, what does it look like? You can have high performers doing a phenomenal job, and they're doing that job really well because they take pride in their work. They love the work that they're doing. They want to grow. They have a plan, even if you don't have a plan. They have a plan for their growth, and so they're using that time in every assignment to really strengthen their skill set, to give greater bandwidth to their experiences, to learn more, and that's why they're invested. But are they do they have an allegiance with the organization? That's the question. And I think as owners of organizations, we want people to have an allegiance with our organizations. We want people who are especially in our workplace and helping us carry out the vision. We want them when they're in the grocery store or on their kids' soccer field or at the basketball game, or whether they're in their churches or in their on the golf course or in the tennis matches, wherever they may be. When they're in there playing cards with their friends and somebody says, "Hey, what do you do?" And what's your expertise? They not only share their skill set, but they share highlights and positive affirmations around where they get to do it. And so you could have a high performer that is performing and not willing to have allegiance with your organization because of the pain they've experienced in that organization. And you may be a leader saying, "Hey, I didn't cause it, so I don't owe them anything." You represent the organization. You represent that organization and you owe it to your team to make sure they become as healthy as possible to thrive. And so you may not have caused it, and I can probably guarantee that they are not blaming you, but they are looking to you as their leaders to help them overcome. And I can say that I've experienced both. I've experienced those who actually caused it, not knowing, that have caused it knowing, and I've also the trauma, that's the it. And I've also experienced leaders who recognize that there's been trauma and has helped me overcome that trauma over and over again. How do they do that? Providing visibility, providing sponsorship. We don't like to talk about that word. And when we do, we only talk about it to in relationship to privileged few. And unfortunately, that privileged few does not often include those of diverse people who don't look like us, people who don't sound like us, people who are not, who will challenge us and challenge us in a healthy way. We need to provide sponsorship and hear where our individual team members are so that we can help them get over the hurt that they've experienced in the workplace. Can I tell you that there's people working with you that have had to get therapy? There's people in that have learned to cope with the environment, put it under, squash it down, but yet still perform and be your top performer. And you think they're your advocate or your ally. And they're doing a great job because that's their nature. And you know it. So the question is, are you taking advantage of it? Are you taking advantage of individuals who will do a good job regardless? It's just in them, it's their nature to perform and perform well because they are very conscious of being integrous. They are conscious of their own brand. They're conscious of their reputation. And they know that they always look to seek to have a good reputation precede them into every place they go. But are you taking advantage of that and not taking care of those individuals? Are you there are times when people are being demeanored, they're being um really their integrity being challenged even in slight emails. I can tell you it's happened to me even this week as a leader of a project, and someone reached out and said, "Can you give me a status of where we are and what direction we're going?" Now I'm leading the project and I give the status, And then a day goes by, and this individual, and this is an email where there's many people on the email with many leaders on the email, and this individual has the audacity to come back to me in another email and says, I've verified and confirmed that what you said is true, so I'm good. What in the world is that? As if I've ever caused this person the need to have to question my validity in what I'm going to present. What would that yield me? But that happens over and over again. I hear story over and over again of people's peers being promoted above them and being promoted and getting increases, and you're and that individual not getting anything. Yet the conversations on one-on-one with their leaders is you're very valuable in the organization. That's the kind of behavior that causes trauma, that we need to look deep within ourselves, reflect, and say, am I contributing to the problem, or am I a solution to the problem? Am I a solution? Am I creating a healthy space for individuals to grow, for us all to grow? And that healthy space, when it's created correctly, allows for mistakes. It does. It allows for those times when you said something and you were in the flow, you weren't thinking. When you create a healthy space, it allows for you to be able to come back and say, hey, I messed up. And people will receive that. It allows for people to correct you and say, and make sure you, as a leader, when you're going and representing the team's work to others, it allows them to want to equip you and make sure you're ready with everything you need to be ready with to represent the work that you've all done together as a team. Because they want you to put your best foot forward. But if you're out there being the long ranger, and you're out there being Superman or Superwoman and trying to do it all on your own and on the backs of those who are helping you do it, just running all over them, you are not going to be looked at favorably, and you're not going to be able to sustain the momentum that you think you have. Again, my purpose in life as a coach, as a business ambassador, is to make sure that we are being the best leaders that we can be in the space, willing to grow. And we grow through some of the trips and falls that we have, but we recover quickly. And we're willing to be leaders that bring along those who are in our influence. How about sponsoring everyone? Can I tell you, you don't have to be fearful of everyone wanting to take your position and your job. I had one leader who once said to me, because I said, okay, well, if I come on and I help you with this project, and this was really, really early in my career when I was just embarking on project management. And I said to them, he was hiring for someone to come on this project. And I said, well, what happens when the project's over? And he said, Yvette, when you do a great job on a project, people are looking for you. They're going to be looking for you to help them with the next thing. So you want to work yourself out of a job. You want to help solve those problems and help bring a place in an organization to a better place so that they can sustain and survive on their own, so that they can continue to grow and be better. And when you do a great job for them, the next time they have a change or a shift, they remember that I could count on that person to help me. And so I want them back on this team because I know that they're going to give their best effort. They're going to share their ideas. They're going to come ready to brainstorm. They're going to come ready to collaborate so that together we get a greater outcome. So I want to encourage you, because we're talking about not only does trauma happen in those people who we see who are they're just carrying it on themselves and they're really down, and you can focus on them. But in this month, Mental Health Awareness Month, I encourage you to have one-on-ones with the people in your influence and not assume that you know what's going on with them. Be willing to have the difficult conversations. Be willing to ask the tough questions. And this question can seem to be easy, but if you're not ready for the response, then it could be a tough question. So go into have one-on-one coffees or teas or over lunch, and then even be willing to have a collective conversation with your team about how are things going? Where do you see we can do a better? How can I better support you? Have that ask those questions in a one-on-one individual conversations with the people, as well as in team settings. And as you have that conversation, be willing to hear back what is said. Take time if you need to inhale, exhale, because some of it might sting. Let's be honest. When we get feedback, yeah, it's a gift, but sometimes that gift comes with a sting at first. But be willing to hear what's being said and then invite others to help work through the changes that need to be made. I am a change management professional, and not only can you work within your team, optimizing that talent to invite them to help overcome the obstacles that you guys are experiencing in your workplace and tripping you up, either in an individual relationship that you're having or a team dynamic. I bring in those skills that I help teams uncover those things. That's what I do in my business. And I'm here to help you. So if there's something, if you're needing support and help in even receiving, what do I do? Okay, Vet, I asked the question, they gave me the feedback. This doesn't feel good. What do I do with this? How do I work through those situations? How do I show the team or this individual that I heard them, and how do I help them how do I help us come up with a strategy to overcome it? And doing that is greater. Can I tell you, just your willingness to say, yes, I hear you and I'm invested enough to do something about it, will help you and that person overcome and avoid a traumatic situation. Because trauma happens because behavior is over and over and over again impacting somebody. So if it might not be a big blow, because trauma can happen in a one big blow that just blindsides somebody and that they're like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Case in point, you are a key contributor, and all of a sudden you get called into an office and someone says, hey, your services are no longer needed. What? I've been here for 10, I've been here for 15, I've been here for 5 years. Or you brought me in, you sought me out, and I've been here for 2 years, a year, and now you're telling me you don't want me here? I was happy where I was, but you came and asked me to join your organization. Those kind of things can be big blows to people. But also, year after year, time after time, of being overlooked, of being ignored, of being told, we love what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing, but don't reward people. Being told, you bring great value to the organization, but don't give them the ability to be able to expect greater or want greater, or to be able to say, I want to be able to reach this level in the organization, and you support their getting them getting there. That is also trauma. And don't mistake the fact that even though people are being very high performers, that they're not experiencing that. So let's take Mental Health Month as a positive time where we can focus in on how we can help each other overcome the hurt, the feelings that we've and the poor behavior that we've experienced in the workplace. Let's partner with one another to get to a healthier place. Will it happen immediately? No. The hurt didn't happen immediately, or even if it did, it was a wound, a fiery dart that caused a wound in someone's soul. If we're in a workplace and it absolutely steals your joy, I remember sitting with colleagues and saying, I want my joy back because the working environment that I was in at that time was so toxic that I recognized that I had lost my joy. I couldn't remember when I was happy again. I don't want that for anyone. So let's partner together to heal, to not get over, work through what we've been through, even as you're still performing at your top performance. Because when we work through that together, then you're going to even soar higher than where you are. I am Yvette C. Owens, and I'm bringing you company culture with Yvette C. Owens so that leaders can become better leaders and individual contributors can manage and lead and own your destiny, own your purpose in the workplace. Have an amazing weekend. And remember, it takes all of us to create a healthy culture where we all can thrive. That's what equality means looks like. That's what diversity looks like. That's what the proof of inclusion is. Have a great and wonderful and marvelous day. Bye-bye.